liking how energetic this first song is. It's a really nice tone setter, I suppose. The instrumental isn't really like blowing me away. It is very simple. It is very standard, but it's nice. It's solid. I do think the energy is what's carrying it though. Two couples, one married, one not within the band, both breaking up at the same time during recording. Wow. Well, the electric guitar going crazy in the background, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, fade out's a little whatever. That song picked the hell up in the second half, I'm not gonna lie. The second half of that song was so good. The first half was decent, it was solid. He just wasn't doing the best job at, like, keeping me gripped and engaged in the song. The second half, though, where the instrumental just picks the hell up and the energy of the track just reaches this really intense high, and it just doesn't let up until the very end. Fade out's a little weak, but, you know, it's fine. Second half kind of carried, I'm not gonna lie. The writing here, as well, is very interesting. It's obviously kind of a reflection on the relationship troubles of the people in the band, and it's doing a good job of establishing that as the theme and possibly even concept of the album. So yeah, the writing here is doing a great job at that. Honestly, this first track, I would give it an 8.6. Feeling an 8.6 on this first track. It's really good, but I just wish the intro was a little stronger, you know what I'm saying? The Beatles are the Radiohead of the UK. Could not be truer, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, next track, Dreams. I am almost certain I've heard this one. It has 1.4 billion streams. You could definitely see how this influenced, like, Big Thief. She sounds exactly like Adrian Lenker. Like, her voice sounds almost identical to Adrian Lenker's, dude. Okay, that chorus was incredible. The harmonies were fantastic. The layering was incredible. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not actually sure I've heard this song. It has almost 1.5 billion streams on Spotify, and I don't know if I've heard it because I don't recognize it right now. There is a very possible chance that, like, I've not heard this song. You know, I like that the song is called Dreams, and it sounds like it's in a dream. It just like, the sound of this is so bright and vibrant. What's the word I'm looking for? Surreal, I guess? This is incredibly recorded. The drums, in particular, sound amazing. Like, the cymbals aren't washy or, like, too intense in the slightest. React to John Cage 433. I have no clue what that is. What is John Cage 433? A classical piece that's just 7 minutes of silence? See, I was talking over the intro there. Outro there. Sorry, you don't want to do that. That was incredible. That was amazing. That song has almost 1.5 billion streams, and I have never heard it. How? I know I've heard The Chain, and I think I've heard Go On Your Way. I don't know how I've never heard that. Firstly, amazing chorus. Layering, incredible. Harmonies, fantastic. Recording of this, actually perfect. Just the sound of the drums, and the cymbals in particular, is actual perfection. Especially for something that came out in the 70s. Writing, as well, is, again, doing a great job of I guess, progressing the theme and taking it in a different and unique direction. I'm not really going to be diving too deep into the lyrics throughout this, but from what I picked up, this definitely is doing a great job of keeping the theme and, I guess, concept of this together. Yeah, that song was like, honestly, I am feeling a 10 on that song, genuinely. That was very good. That was, yeah, I can see why that song is so huge, and I am shocked that I hadn't heard it already. I'm just gonna move on. Next track, Never Going Back Again.
Made me see where I've been.
Wow. Yeah, the thing that's working best about this album so far is the production elements, with the harmonies, the backing vocals, the layering, stuff like that. That is what's like really carrying, is the recording and the production. That is hands down the best thing about this. It's funny, it's similar to Abbey Road, I guess, in that it's a classic album that has aged incredibly, and it's like regarded as like one of the best. I know people talk about the production on this one a lot as well, like similar to the way they do with Abbey Road.
You don't know what it means to win.
Nice, yeah. That one isn't the most mind-blowing track on the album so far. It's not the most overwhelmingly incredible song, but it's just a really solid, simple little piece that's incredibly well written and amazingly recorded. Again, the backing vocals were definitely the best thing about that track, where they would just come in and out, and they were so good because it filled up. It's I can't speak. I need to learn how to talk. I say this every time. I can't talk. That's what made the track feel so full, is the backing vocals, and it's hands down like the best thing about this song. I'm feeling an 8.8 on that one. It's really nice. Again, not the most insanely good, insanely mind-blowing thing on the album, but it's good. It's solid. It's really nice. Alright, next track, Don't Stop. The intro to this song is the least engaging so far. Out of all of the intros to every single track, I feel like this one is just the hardest to get into. I don't know, it started off a little too dense, but also a little too slow at the same time, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this is the most difficult intro to get into so far. The random little guitar solos that they're adding in here, just like out of nowhere, are like actually incredible. They sound great. Like, they make no sense in context, but they work so well. Yo, why is the camera so fuzzy? There we go. Look who it is. We got the big guy over here. The big cat. One moment. To get my chat up. Please say... Please work, please work. It's very quiet. One sec, I think I know what the problem might be. I didn't mean to open that. I opened DaVinci Resolve by accident. Oops. A sec, let me mute mute that too. Yeah, I don't know. I think I know what the problem is. There we go. The mic gain was super low. That's the problem. Right, it should be all good now. Hopefully. Right, got the album up. Move the chat over here. Get my notepad up as well. So that I can keep track of my scores, even though I know what my scores for every track's going to be already. I already know. Let me inform the Discord that we are live as well. Need to turn notifications off on my phone too. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, people are uploading. I don't know why, but YouTube chooses to like only notify me after there's been like 5 uploads, and then it just puts them all at once instead of just actually notifying me when people upload. It just waits until there's like 5 or 6 and then just pushes them all out at once. So annoying. I'll put it in Gage's Discord as well, and I'll put it in your Discord, Rocky. Go down here. Alright, cool. Discord has been informed. Everything seems to be working. Live reactions are turned off. Sick. Right. How much do I know about Discord? I don't know. I literally only use it to like... I only use it for like 3 servers. And then when I like DM people, which I don't DM people like that often. Like I don't really... What, JC, are you trying to cook up a Discord? You trying to make a server? God, I'm so excited for this. Right. I think... Let me quickly make one more check. Man, who unsubbed? I was at 504 subs earlier, we're down to 502, that is disgraceful. Anyway, in a sec, I am just gonna get started. Hold on a sec, people are coming in. Your favourite 3 songs are Toxicity, Science, and Bounce. I agree with Toxicity and Science. Bounce is... Listen, I think this is a perfect album. So me saying it's my least favourite doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not as 10 out of 10 as the other 10 out of 10 songs on this album, basically. Right. Yeah, I'm just going to get started. I'm going to hit record, we're going to do the intro, and then we're just getting straight into it. Wait one sec. There we go. Welcome back to the Human Reviews channel. Today, or well, not today, yesterday, as of when I'm recording this, we hit 500 subs, and, okay, already messed up the intro. Welcome back to the Human Reviews channel, and as of yesterday, as of when I'm recording this, we hit 500 subs. Now, I put up a poll on my channel asking what video you guys wanted for the 500 sub special, and the most, the most voted on the poll by a landslide was Toxicity by System of a Down. Let me quickly see how many votes Toxicity got. If I scroll down here. Yeah, Toxicity had 51% of the votes. The second most voted was the Black Parade, and that only had 14%. So, yeah, people wanted this album way more than any of the others on that list, and honestly, I'm not complaining. I love this album. This is hands down my favorite metal album of all time. I think this thing is incredible. It's like actual perfection. I've heard it before many times, so this obviously isn't a first reaction, but still, I'm excited to get into this regardless. This album came out in 2001. It is 15 songs, 44 minutes. Yeah, it's amazing. It's great. I think I am just going to get straight into it with track 1, Prison Song. One of the best opening tracks of all time right here. Jesus Christ.
Following direction movement to clamp down with your iron fist. Drugs became conveniently available for all the kids. Following direction movement to clamp down with your iron fist. Drugs became conveniently available for all the kids.
Okay. Instantly, this album is setting itself apart from their self-titled. It is way more cleanly produced. But the pacing of this track feels a lot more refined than their first album. I love their first album, by the way, but instantly it's setting itself apart and saying that this is going to be something completely different from what their first album was, and I think this does actually a perfect job at that.
Fill your prisons, you don't even flinch. All our taxes paying for your wars against the new non-rich. Minor drug offenders fill your prisons, you don't even flinch. All our taxes paying for your wars against the new non-rich.
I always had a problem with that when Darren Malakian says that line, but I think it like works perfectly with like the goofiness of the song. Like, this song, it's so weird, but it's such a perfect tone setter. Like, the back half of this track is just him shouting crime statistics. It's absolutely wild, but I feel like it is, again, like, just the perfect way to start this album off.
Utilizing drugs to pay for secret wars around the world. Drugs are now your global policy. Now you police the globe.
My crack, my smack, my bitch right here in Hollywood.
Drug money's used to rig elections and train brutal corporate-sponsored dictators around the world.
They're trying to build a prison.
They're trying to build a prison. They're trying to build a prison. They're trying to build a prison.
For you and me to live in.
Another prison system. Another prison system. Another prison system. They're trying to build a prison. They're trying to build a prison. They're trying to build a prison for you and me.
And it's got the transition into Needles. I'm gonna let the transition play out. Perfect transition, yeah. If my reaction didn't say it already, that is a perfect opener. One of the best opening songs of all time. The fact that, like, the opener is that good, and it's not even the best opener to a System of a Down album. Like, bro, it's such a good tone setter. It shows that it's going to be something completely different from their first album, while still keeping the goofiness and the weirdness. The production is amazing. The pacing is so tight and so perfect. The song is perfect. It's an easy 10. It's the easiest 10 ever. Yeah, that song is incredible. Amazing. How's it going? Paul is dead. Attack from Hypnotize is your favorite opener? Hey, System of a Down don't really have any bad opening songs. They don't really have any bad songs in general. I mean, you could pick any song from any of their albums, and chances are it's gonna be. I can't think of any like bad songs from them, really. And their openers are always great. Particularly, my favorite opener from them is BYOB. I think BYOB is the most insane way to start an album off. It's so good. Alright, next track, Needles. Oh my god, dude. Yeah. I don't think you can really find a better metal vocalist than Serj Tankian. None of them as expressive as him, at least. He has, like, a one-of-a-kind voice. There is no one who sounds... There's no one who's able... How do I put this? People try and imitate the sound of his voice, and it always sounds so goofy, and it doesn't work. But that's because he has such a unique voice that is, like, uncopyable. It is absolutely wild. Funny thing is, they got better with each album. Everyone says Toxicity is their best, but Mesmerize and Hypnotize are mine. Mesmerize used to be my favorite of their albums, but then it's returning to it. Like, my order of their albums has completely switched. Like, I think Mesmerize is third best for me, and then their self-titled is their second best, and Toxicity is my personal favorite. But again, they don't have a bad album. Like, my least favorite album of theirs is Steal This Album, and even that I would still give like a 8.6 out of 10. Good, like, they have like a flawless discography. There's nothing bad in their entire freaking catalog, dude.
I cannot deny all the evil traits and the filling of the crates when you come out and you slip
Yeah, I think the thing that works best about this is the fact that they are, like, this is such a ridiculous, goofy song, and they're playing it so straight-faced, and they're playing it so seriously. That's what makes this work, and that's what makes the band as a whole work. Is, like, when they're doing the goofiness, and they're playing it straight. That is my favorite thing about this band, and it's the reason why a song like Needles works so well for me. What do I think of the 2 new songs they released recently? They were okay. I didn't love them. Genocidal Humanoids is definitely the better of the 2. But even the other one, what was it called? Protect the Land, I think it was called. But they were both fine. I really like Genocidal Humanoids, and Protect the Land was okay. Neither of them are bad, but I just don't really feel like they live up to the quality of their other stuff. They're just sort of like decent, solid System of a Down tracks. Surge's voice was underwhelming. Yeah, you can tell that man has, like, as he has gotten older, he's like in his 50s now. Screaming like this is obviously going to affect your voice a lot as you get older. Yeah, the riffs were cool. I love Darren Malakian's voice. One of my like bigger nitpicks about their future albums is it sort of felt like Darren Malakian featuring Serj Tankian on a lot of the a lot of the later albums, particularly Hypnotize. I feel like this album has the perfect balance of Serj Tankian and Darren Malakian, where Serj is still at the front of this, but whenever Darren appears, it like increases the quality of a track so much. Again, I don't have a problem with Darren Malakian like taking center stage on the tracks, but I feel like it was just a little too much on some of the future albums, and that's like my biggest problem with those albums.
Waiting for the tomb, some old dying.
Most underrated System song is Dreaming. Dreaming's pretty good. That one's on Hypnotize, isn't it? When they harmonize, it's just right, yeah. God, a great outro. Again, that song is a perfect example of my favorite thing about this band, and it's their ability to make something so ridiculous and over the top and play it completely straight-faced. It doesn't really tie into the concept of the album. It's not really political, as far as I can tell, but it goes hard. It's goofy as hell. The riffs are insane, production is fantastic, and it's one of the best paced songs on the album. I would still give that one a 10. Yeah, the majority of songs on this album are going to get a 10. Just saying, but yeah. These first 2 tracks are like actually perfect. Alright. Next song, we have Deer Dance.
Circumventing circuses, lamenting in protest of visible police. Present sponsor fear. Battalions of riot police with rubber bullet kisses. Baton courtesy. Service
There's the other thing that works very well about this band is, particularly on this album, their ability to bounce back and forth between goofiness and seriousness. Like, this song, this album goes from, like, the most ridiculous, outrageous song that doesn't really mean anything, to then songs like this where they're talking about pushing children around with guns. It's able to do it and not feel like tonal whiplash. It still stays consistent and feels like it's taking place within the same project. And that is what works the best about this album in particular, at least. Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah. Yeah, the sound of Mesmerize, in terms of, like, I guess, like, tuning and guitar tone is probably my favorite. Oh, this is one of the best parts on the whole album right here. Yeah. Theta Waves. That one's off of Still This Album, right? That's one of my favorite songs on the whole album right there. Yeah, I like that one is more seriousness. There's not really any, like, particularly, like, goofy or ridiculous elements to the track. It's just, like, actually genuinely serious and making a bold political statement. Which, again, the way the album is able to bounce between the silliness and the seriousness is perfect. Like, from Needles to Deer Dance is probably the best example of it on the whole album. You were triggered when I didn't really like Because off of Abbey Road. I still love the song. I gave it an 8. That's the thing. People will see me have, like, 1 or 2 complaints about a track, and then they'll just go, oh, you must hate this whole album. That's all I got in the comments was, oh, you said this song had 2 aspects that you didn't like about it. Why do you hate this album? Why do you hate this album? I gave the album a 9.2. You're joking about being triggered? Yeah. But it's just the comments. People just want to live in this echo chamber of their opinions. Just hearing their own thoughts on things being bounced right back at them. It's like, no, I'm not going to sit there and pretend the album doesn't have a couple of issues. Like, it's not a 10, but it's close to a 10. And people in the comments just didn't understand that. Yeah, that song, incredible. One of my favorite choruses on the whole album. One of my favorite songs on the whole album, honestly. It's another 10. Easy. Boomers, yeah. Come Together is kind of boring. The song did grow on me, but I will say it's not the most re-listenable song. Like, out of the whole album, it's probably one of the ones I would return to the least. Alright, next track, X. Oh no, Jet Pilot, sorry, not X. I'm an idiot. I'm 17. Lots of people think I'm in my early 20s. Like, a ton of people come into my chat, and or in my comments and stuff, and they think I'm in my early 20s. I'm only 17. Now you're all good, man. I normally have lots of chat interactions in the videos anyway. Do I have like a Patreon? I'm gonna have a system on my... I do live streams Wednesdays and Sundays where people send in songs. I'm gonna have a system soon where if people want to send in a song longer than 7 minutes, or they want to send in an EP or an album, they can pay £1.50 per minute to get me to listen to it. It's an extortionate price. It is a complete scam, but it's just so people don't like flood the queue with like longer stuff, and it's a way for people to just get me to listen to albums and stuff. Because when I was doing the request streams before, they got too flooded with like 15-minute, 10-minute songs and stuff like that. But yeah, that system's going to be implemented soon. And I may start a Patreon soon as well. Possibly. If I'm able to get enough, like, traction on the channel, then I may start a Patreon soon where people can, like, get exclusive reactions and stuff. It is ridiculous. Great transition into X as well. Yeah, the pricing it is very dumb, but it's just because I don't want the queues on the live streams to get flooded with longer stuff. Because when I was doing it before and it was like, there's one of your least favorites on the album, I can see that. It's definitely one of like the songs lower on my list in terms of like my favorites on the album. It's still amazing. I think the only thing that I guess would deter me from returning to this track is the fact that it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's one of the songs on the album that literally does not have any meaning. Like, wired were the eyes of a horse on a jet pilot. That doesn't mean anything. The verses don't make any sense. But the song still goes hard as hell. It's still so catchy. The performances are still incredible. And Serj Tankian is able to say these ridiculous lyrics with enough conviction to the point where you're like, you know what, maybe I just don't get it. So for that reason, it's the first song that's not a 10, but it's getting a 9.8. It is about as close to a 10 as you can get. What if it's outside the context of a live stream, like recording it on your own time instead of making it a live thing? I don't really just like record stuff in my own time. I've only done that for one album, and that was my reaction to The King of Limbs by Radiohead. Yeah, I just prefer recording in a live setting. I don't know. Because it also helps because it can make things more entertaining. Because I have, like, people in the chat that I can, like, bounce off of if they have, like, a funny comment or something like that. And it's also a good way of, like, making sure I'm giving a good reaction as I'm filming. Because if I'm not, then normally people will tell me it's not good. Yeah, every single reaction on my channel except for The King of Limbs has been live streamed. Alright, next track. This time, next track is X. This is probably the song that feels the most like their debut, like, on this whole album. It is just completely ridiculous, so out there and insane, and it has, like, the guttural screams and stuff like that. This is definitely the one that feels the most like the self-titled. Freaking hair's getting in my way. Yeah, that's one of the shortest songs on the album, I think. There's a couple, like, super short ones, but yeah, it's definitely one of the shorter ones. I think it's cool that they have just, like, random little 1.5 to 2 minute tracks in here that just sort of serve as, like, extra pieces, adding to, like, the context of the album, I guess. It's a great transition point from Jet Pilot into Chop Suey as well, which I think is really cool. Again, it's not the most impressive song on the album. It's only 2 minutes long, but what it does with those 2 minutes is still really, really incredible and really enjoyable. Especially that freaking slowdown bit, which is, like, actually amazing. I'd give that one another 9.8. It's not a 10, because, again, it's only, like, a 2 minute little track, and it's not one of the more re-listenable, but still, it's ridiculous and goofy and fun, and I still love it. Right. You have your own one-man band album that you want to get unfiltered opinions on. The sound is inspired by, like, indie Arctic Monkeys with metal. I might listen to it off stream. If you join my Discord and you put a link to it in the self-promo bit, I might listen to it off stream and then give you my honest review on it. Alright, up next, biggest song on the album and biggest song the band has ever released. Next track, Chop Suey. Jesus Christ, Rookie. One of the best drum intros of all time. That tom beat is incredible. Yeah, incredible harmonies there between Darren and Serge. Like, bro, the chorus on this song is so good. What is going on with my hair? It's only when I'm recording that, like, my hair looks like ass. I feel like this is the song where you can see Rick Rubin's stamp on the album the most, because despite the very layered and detailed instrumental with so many moving parts, it still has like a certain rawness that he brings to every single album he produces. And this is definitely the song where you can see that the most on the whole album.
Self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die.
Hey. Great transition into Bounce. Yeah, that song is the band's most popular for a reason. It is one of the most, like... It's one of the most parodied songs of all time, but I don't think that takes away from like the like how impactful it is. It's so like memed and it's so replayed, but it still has the same amount of impact of like when I heard the song for the first time. It's so incredible as well that the entire second half of that song was like stumbled into by accident. If you've seen the short I made about this song, then you would know. But like Serge was having like serious writer's block when writing this song, and he didn't know what to put over the second half of the track. So Rick Rubin invited, like, I don't know if it was just him or if he invited the band over to his house. Serge Tankian picked a random book off of one of his shelves, skipped to a random page, and landed on the line, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." And that ended up in the song. Like, that is insane. One of the best moments of this album was stumbled into by accident. Song's a 10. This song is actually a 10. It's so good. It is so good. Yeah. Easily deserving of being, like one of the most streamed metal songs of all time. It's incredible. Taco Rally be acting like Sticky Finger Joe is my alter ego. Which it is, but I hate it. What are you yapping about? What does that mean? Right, up next, we have Bounce. Final song of part 1.
Stick just to show her a trick. She had so many friends. Unannounced was their games, all players with no names. They lined up double quick, but just one pogo stick. Everyone gets to play, run away. Expose was so exotic, but just one pogo stick.
Yeah, again, this is another, like, super short song that's just meant to be, I guess, I can't speak. A piece of, like, just added context to the album. And I love it. I love just how ridiculous this song is. This is probably the most ridiculous song on the whole album. It has nothing to do with the concept. It is such a wild left turn, especially coming after Chop Suey. But the sound of it is incredible. And I think it's like, again, one of the best examples of the band's perfect ability to bounce back and forth between silliness and seriousness. Greatest album of the century? I agree with you. Actually, yeah, this is my favorite album of the 2000s so far. I do know what this song is about, Crocky, yes. I do know what this song is about. I've read the Genius annotations. Bro, my forehead is so big. I just noticed how massive my forehead is. Again, that song has nothing to do with the concept of the album. It's such a wild left turn after Chop Suey. But it displays one of this band's biggest strengths, and it's their ability to go back and forth between goofiness and seriousness and have it feel so tonally consistent and make it make so much sense, even though realistically it shouldn't. The song isn't like a masterpiece by any means. Objectively speaking, it's probably the worst song on the album, but in terms of my enjoyment, I'm giving that song a 9.8. It's, again, it's ridiculous, it's insane. It shouldn't work as well as it does, but it does. Alright. Stream, I'm gonna do my outro for part 1. Don't go anywhere, we're filming part 2 right after I do the outro. But yeah, I just gotta get the outro for part 1 done, then we'll get straight into part 2. And that is gonna do it for part 1 of Toxicity. This is one of my favorite albums ever created. This album's so good, it's amazing. I'm so glad I get to make a video covering it. Let me know what you think of this album down below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? Make sure you like and sub. Our new goal is to hit 1,000 subs by September. That's my goal. Hopefully we can hit 1,000 subs by September. Join the Discord, check out my other videos. We got videos on Tool, and we recently did videos on like the Beatles and Fleetwood Mac, so check those out. More videos coming in the future. And yeah, I will see you all in part 2. Goodbye. Right, we're just getting straight into part 2. We're just going to continue. And we are back with part 2 of Toxicity, where we left off in part 1. We listened to Bounce, and we are just going to continue. Next track, Forest. Yeah, that song was in Secret Life of Pets. Chop Suey was in Secret Life of Pets as well, wasn't it? Firstly, one of the best intros on the album, the freaking, just the percussion at the beginning of that song with like the little toms. I play drums and I don't know what the little toms are called. Okay, I'm just going to call them little toms. They sound incredible. And then when it goes into this freaking beat, it's so good. It's so creative. Listen, John Dolmayan, not the best guy. You look at his Instagram, he's a bit of an interesting character. He's certainly not he's certainly not a very agreeable person. But as a musician, I think he is one of my favorite drummers ever. Do not agree with anything that man says, but he is a very good drummer. That's one of the best choruses on the whole album. It's so good.
Walk with me, my little.
When I'm able to do drum covers, when I'm able to get like proper recording equipment for my drums, I might do this song first, honestly. I love the percussive elements on this track so much.
This promise through the end. Speak with me, my only mine. Walk with me until the end and make the forest turn to sand.
May overtake bounce. Yeah, this is one of my absolute favorites on the album. I don't want to say top 3, but it's definitely top 5. Oh, one of the best build-ups ever. Really interesting snare sound on this album as well. It's so tight and really like poppy. I love it. One of my favorite snare sounds.
For a ride, you saw the forest. Now come inside. You took the legend for its fall. You saw the product of it all. No televisions in the air. No circumcisions on the chair. You made the weapons for us all. Just look at us now. Why can't you see that you are my child? Why don't you know that you are mine? Tell everyone in the world that I'm you. Take this promise to the end of you.
Then we got a transition into Atwa. Amazing transition. That is probably in my top 5 on this whole album. That song is again, it's one of the most mind-blowing songs on the whole album. John Dolmayan honestly carries that track for me. All of the percussive elements throughout that track, every single moment, are just amazing. The drums carry that song for me. And even then, every single other element of it is perfect. One of my favorite Serj Tankian vocal performances. The riffs are insane as hell. It's one of the heaviest songs on the album as well, not only in terms of like guitar tones and breakdowns, but also in terms of lyrical content. And I think it is easily one of the absolute best, not only on this album, but in the System of a Down catalog. I would give that one another 10. Alright, up next we have ATWA, which I think stands for Air, Trees, Water, and Animals. I think that's what that stands for.
Pictures crazy, all the world I've seen before me passing by. I've got nothing to gain, to lose. All the world I've seen before me passing by. You don't care about how I feel, I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel, I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel, I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel, I don't feel it anymore.
I love that jump scare chorus. It's so good.
Not so pretty. All the world I've seen before me passing by. Silent my voice.
How's it going, Gage?
No choice. All the world I've seen before me passing by. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. I don't see. I don't hear. I don't speak.
One of the best performances from Darren Malakian on this track as well. I love the way they implement the Eastern influence more along the back half of the sound. They do a little bit on the front half on songs like Needles, and there's a little bit on Chop Suey as well. But you see it a lot more, like, it's much more present on the back half of the album on songs like Forest and Atwa and Science. And it makes for a really interesting and unique sound palette for the album that you don't really see much in nu metal, at least. It's really cool. You have joined for a great album. This is one of the best albums ever made. Yeah, that's another, like, favorite of mine on the album. I could say that about so many of these songs, but, like, that's another one that would rank in, like, the top half if I were to rank every song on this album. It is one of the best examples of the band's great sense of dynamics, the way they go between the very slow, softer verses into the most insane, wild chorus ever. One of the best Darren Malakian vocal performances on there, with the harmonies with Serge and the growly vocals as well. Chorus is fantastic. Pacing is perfect. It's another 10. Easy 10. What did you expect? Right, up next, we have the song that is currently, in my mind, my favorite song on the album. That might change as I go into the rest of this. But as of right now, if I had to rank this album again, without rehearing the songs in the back half, I would probably have this one at number 1. Next track, Science. Oh, that bass tone, Jesus Christ. One of the wildest Serge Tankian vocal performances on this song as well. Oh, and this breakdown here as well. Again, like I said, the Eastern influence is much more present on the back half of this album, and it's moments like this that are just, like, so amazing, and it adds so much, like, extra texture to the album. I mean, come on. That is amazing. And it just goes right back into it. Yep, re-listening to that track, it's still probably going to end up being my favorite at the end of this. I could listen to an entire song of just that instrumental break in the middle of the track. I could listen to an entire 3-4 minute song of just that. But then it has an amazing, intense, impactful, like politically bold, amazing metal track around it. It's so good. That song is probably my second favorite song the band has ever created, literally only behind BYOB. It's best song on the album, hands down. It's another 10. It's so good. And it's one of, like, the shorter songs on the album, too. It's only, what, two and a half minutes? And what it does in that 2.5 minutes is so impressive and so insane. Yeah, it's very good. Very good. Alright, next track, Shimmy. Is it gonna play? There we go. How's it going, Noah?
Education, publication, and you are go. Education, subjugation, now you're a go. Education, publication, and you are go.
You have joined for an amazing album, Noah. Oh my god, dude.
Education, publication, and you are go. Education, subjugation, now you're a go. Education, publication, and you are go. Don't be late for school again. Thank me, I want life. Thank me, I want out and a wife. I want to shimmy, shimmy, shimmy through the break of dawn. Yeah. Thank me, I want life. Thank me, I want out and a wife. I want to shimmy, shimmy, shimmy through the break of dawn. Yeah. Indoctrination of our nation. Doctrination of our nation. Subjugation of damnation. Subjugation of damnation.
There's only 20 seconds of this song left. Yeah. This is probably my favorite of, like, the really short tracks. Like the less than 2 minute tracks. It's definitely my favorite. It has the strongest chorus. It has the most wild, insane verses. Has the catchiest riff. Yeah, it's definitely the best of the short tracks. And then it has this, like, random jazz moment. Because why not?
Don't be late for school again, boy. Don't be late for school again. Don't be late for school again, boy. Don't be late for school again.
Yeah. That is definitely my favorite of the shorter tracks. I would give that one a 10, obviously, because basically every song on this album has gotten a 10. Yeah. Wild chorus, one of the catchiest riffs on the whole album, Really fun little jazz breakdown at the end there. Yeah, it's not like... Probably wouldn't land in the top half of my list if I were to rank all the songs on the album. But I still see it as a perfect track. Right. Next track, Toxicity, the title track. This used to be my favorite song on the album. Probably the strongest intro on the entire album right there.
Conversion, software version 7.0. Looking at life through the eyes of a tire hub. Eating seeds is a pastime activity.
Whenever I listen to this song, I remember exactly where I was the first time I heard it. I remember the first time I listened to this album, it was New Year's 2022. I think, yeah, it was New Year's 2022 the first time I heard this album. And this song was the one that caught my attention instantly. I remember I was at... I think it was... I was in, like, my cousin's bedroom. We were there for, like, a family thing for New Year's. Was it New Year's or Christmas? I think it was New Year's. Actually, it might have been Christmas. I don't know. Either one of the two. And I remember I sat down and I listened to this album and I remember being so blown away, specifically by this song. I can envision exactly where in the room I was sat. I remember my phone was placed on my lap and it's so vivid. This was one of the most intense experiences I've had listening to music was the first time I heard this song.
The toxicity of our city,
You're on a coach going up to London, it was like a 2-hour journey, you listen to it all, damn. Let me see when the first time I listened to this album was. I'm pretty sure it was New Year's. Oh, it says January 21st. Might have been for something else. I remember where I was, though.
more wood for their fires, loud neighbors, flashlight reveries caught in the headlights of a truck, eating seeds as a pastime activity, the toxicity of our city, No! What do you own the world? How do you own this order? No! Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep. Disorder.
This is another song on the album that doesn't really make any sense. Like, the lyrics don't really seem to mean anything, but it's just individual lines on here that just have so much impact, and it's what makes the song so amazing and definitely worthy of being the title track on the album. I mean, this whole second half, final third even. Yeah. That song is... It used to be my favorite. I don't think it still is. But it's definitely one of my favorites. It definitely lands in, like, the... What, like, the top... Either top 3 or top 2 on the whole album. It is so good. It was the song that grabbed my attention the most when I first heard this album. And even still, even though the lyrics don't really make any sense... It's the individual lines and, like, all of the individual elements of the track that make it work so well. The entire final third of the song is ridiculous. It's so good. It's amazing. I remember I learned this song for my drum lessons one time. That was fun. Yeah. That song... also, another interesting story. I played this song... When I was doing music GCSE, we had to do a performance, and I did that song, and I got top marks. I literally got like the highest amount of marks you can get for my performance of this song on the drums. Okay, I'm just saying, subtle flex, but I'm just saying. Yeah, that song is easily another 10. Easily. No competition. One of the best on the album. Top 3, if not top 2. Alright. Next track, Psycho. This song feels a lot like one of the shorter tracks being stretched out to nearly 4 minutes. I don't really have a problem with that, but it definitely feels like this could have definitely been one of the one of the under 2 minute tracks, and it could have worked really well in that context as well. Again, the Eastern influence is much more apparent on the back half of this track, especially on the verses of this song here. Incredible outro. Really subtle string arrangement. It adds so much here. Transitions into aerials. Yep, perfect transition, as every single transition on this album is. Honestly, that is my least favorite song on the album. 9.8 out of 10. 9.8. It is like my least favorite by like the tiniest, smallest margin imaginable. It's an incredible song. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. It has one of the wildest choruses on the entire album, where it's like the psycho groupie cocaine crazy. It's so catchy, and it's like the pacing is ridiculous. Nothing about the song makes sense, and I love how insane it is. But in terms of songs I return to, it's just the one I return to the least, and for that reason, it's my least favorite on the album. Still 9.8, still amazing, still absolutely on the same level of quality that I would expect from this album, and I don't think it brings the score of the album down at all. Alright, next song, final actual track of the album, we have Aerials. This is one of my favorite songs in terms of like lyrical content. There's just so many like interesting, impactful lines on the track. Like, life is a waterfall, we drink from the river, then turn around and put up our walls. You have the chorus where he's saying aerials in the sky, when you lose small mind, you free your life. Like, there's just so many interesting like statements on this track that all tie together like actually perfectly, especially in context with the sound.
We are the ones that want so up high. When you free your eyes, eternal prize.
That's one of the best closing tracks ever, right there. Like, on any album to ever be released, ever created, ever. It's so good. It does such a great job of tying together a lot of the themes of the album. Jesus Christ. Does such a great job at tying together a lot of the themes of the album. The instrumental was absolutely gorgeous, again, implementing a lot of the Eastern influence, particularly on the back half of the track there. The harmonies from Serge and Darren on that song are perfect. Even in terms of just, like, as a piece of the album, even if this wasn't the closer, I feel like it would still end up being one of my favorites because it is that amazing. Genuinely speaking, that song is a 10, and it is probably... It's probably another one of the songs in my top 5 on the album. If not, it's definitely in the top half. It's one of the best album closers ever. It's so good. Right, we're not done yet, though, because we have a bonus track to listen to. We're going to listen to Arto. It's not going to count towards the album score, but we're going to listen to it anyway. First time I listened to this album, I did not know what the hell was going on in this track. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't know it was a bonus track. I just assumed this was meant to be the closing song. And it completely took me by surprise. Yeah, it's a solid bonus track. I'm going to score it, but it's not going to count towards the album score. I give it like a 7.2, I guess. Somewhere in that range. I would never return to it, but the sound of it is incredible. It's insanely well recorded. It is cool anytime I do end up listening to it in like context of the album. But I'm never going to return to it like just on its own. So, yeah, 7.2 on that one. Welcome, Nelly Castro. How's it going? And that is going to do it for Toxicity. Real quick, I'm going to add up my track scores, and then I will tell you what my overall score for this album is. Wait, hold on, I don't even need to. I know what the score for this album is. This album's a 10, okay? It's perfect. Like, actual, legitimate, genuine perfection. Yeah, this is my second favorite album ever created, behind OK Computer. It is my favorite metal album of all time. I think this thing is endlessly replayable, infinitely enjoyable. The political context of this album is somehow only more relevant today than it was 23 years ago. Yeah, this thing has aged incredibly. It sounds fantastic, and I have absolutely zero problems with this album. Yeah, one of my favorites ever created. And that is it for Toxicity. If you liked this video, make sure you like and sub. Our new goal is 1,000 subs, hopefully by September. Fingers crossed, hopefully. Let me know what you think of this album down below in the comments. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? Check out my other videos. We got videos on Tool. If you want more metal reactions, we recently did videos on Abbey Road by the Beatles and Rumours by Fleetwood Mac and stuff like that, so make sure you go check those out, and more reactions to come in the future. Join the Discord if you want to interact with the community. You can speak to me on there, you can discuss music and stuff like that. Check out my gaming channel if you want. I don't use it that much, but it's there if you want to see me play some games from time to time. But until then, I will see you all when I next stream or upload. Goodbye. Alright, stream. Double your recording. Double your recording. How do you join the Discord? I'll put a link to it in the chat real quick. I don't have the Discord link on my live streams normally because for some reason idiots decide to join my live streams. There you go. Here's the link to the Discord if you want to join. Yeah. This album's so good. If anyone in this stream hasn't listened to this album, do it. It's great. I am going to have to go now. I have things to be doing. I might get started editing on this album, on this video later. Hopefully have part 1 up tomorrow. But yeah, if not tomorrow, I will see you guys on Wednesday for the viewer submission